Ebro in the morning. We have some legends with us today. Laura Styles is here. Rosenberg
Yeah.
is sick somewhere on vacation because his idols, De La Soul, on the program.
What
Give
up?
it up. Give it up.
How you doing,
Wow.
man? Good morning.
Well, look, the Anonymous Nobody by De La Soul, available on August
26th.
August 26th. There's some songs available, and we're gonna get to them today. They taking over. I see Jill Scott on here.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Snoop Dogg, that record, we're going to play that in a
Heard
minute.
that.
That's the only one I've heard. Rock Marciano, well-respected. Estelle Pete Rock. Usher's on the album. Little Dragon, for those of y'all that don't know, they're amazing. 2 Chainz is on a De La Soul album.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, let's start right there.
Right.
How did 2 Chainz and De La Soul come about?
2 Chainz he's a spitter, man. He's an MC.
He can rap.
And that's the bottom line. I think just recognizing that, you know, the track that we had a little flavor to it, MC B-boy flavor, but it also takes a direction that could possibly, you know, lend itself to what's happening now. But we didn't want to dabble in the expected Mos Def, Common, you know,
The quote-unquote backpack conscious
yeah.
rap.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
so
and-
whose idea was it, though, to reach out to 2 Chainz? And what was that conversation like?
I heard it. I heard the voice. I heard
Uh-huh.
the voice on the track and was like, yo, 2 Chainz is it for this one. And no disrespect, nothing like we leaving our brothers and our fellow dudes out there. We've done Mos Def, we've done Common, we've done that already.
This is unexpected, like you said. It makes
Yeah.
it very
Yeah.
entertaining, interesting, compelling.
But it
Yeah,
felt, it definitely
it felt
felt
as natural.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we just got respect for Chainz and just felt like he could do it.
And what was dope is that it was really, we just wanted him for like a chorus he heard, like his voice for a chorus. So when we told him, he was like, nah, like I want to rhyme.
Spit on that.
Yeah, I want to rhyme.
You guys already knew 2 Chainz before, had a relationship
Never
with them?
met.
So
Never
you
met.
reached out specifically for this?
Yeah, and he was for it. He was all about it. I mean, we knew that. The spirit is there, you know what I'm saying? When he heard the joint, how could you not want to spit on that? So
Listen, plug 1 and 2 are here. It's
Yes,
De La
sir.
Soul on Hot 97.
up?
Well, I was confused. Who's 1?
I'm one.
Plus is one, yeah.
You're 2.
I'm 2, Dose, and Mace is 3.
Yeah. So Dashikis, back in style. I think like I saw Dashiki
Why are
on
you
sale.
cracking up? Why are you cracking up?
Well, I'm gonna walk through it. We're gonna walk through it together. I don't know if Supreme, like, you know, the skate high-end skate downtown hipster clothing line might have put out a dashiki, I think they
Did
did.
they?
I think they
That's
did.
interesting.
I think I could be lying.
Right.
Because one of those lines did it though. I want to say they charged like $250 for
bet
that
they
joint.
did. It's like the what do you call it, right? The throwback starters.
Yeah. We used to get for what, $50?
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
Now they're
Could
like
be. And they also put out Guayaberas also.
Guayabera. Supreme did put out Guayaberas now.
Wow.
You guys were wearing and the native tongue started what year? What year was that? Did you guys kind of collectively called it something?
89.
90.
And the native tongues was Latifah, Moni Love, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Jungle Brothers.
Yeah, Chi Ali.
Chi Ali.
Yeah. Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Black Sheep.
Beat
And
Nuts. You know, we can go on.
what was happening at that time? I mean, obviously before you guys, it was X-Clan, it was BDP, there was conscious rap, it was cool, it was dope, it was Public Enemy, all that. But you guys came with a flavor that was like, it was conscious, but it was also, I guess, jazz influence, funk influence, was
Good times.
fun. It was fun.
Right.
Yeah, fun.
Right.
Yeah.
What was going on in New York City at that time that prompted that for y'all?
I don't think New York necessarily influenced anything. What was, you know, of course, New York, the style, but I don't think there was something that was happening in New York that kind of influenced us or pushed us in that direction. I think it was Long Island, being kids that, you know, lived in neighborhoods where it was, you know, you live next door to white families, you live next door to Hispanic family, your Asian family. Multi-ethnicity and going to school with all these people and exchanging different thoughts and values and
They would
listening
come to our
different
house
music.
parties. We'll go to their keg parties, you know.
It's funny because it's a completely different lifestyle. Because I was talking to Ebro earlier. I was like, you know, everybody talks about like early hip hop in the park, and but you guys were in Long Island, so it's a whole different
We was in the
way of
backyard.
living. So you guys were like in basements and backyards and real basement parties,
as well as the music influences. I think that's a big part of it as well. When there was parties in the park, there was parties in the basement, and we was listening to Hall and Oates and Marvin Gaye Sexual Healing. So the combination of the two kind of like had us doing and listening to things that maybe somebody in the city wasn't.
Y'all was my savior.
Oh,
y'all, I come from black father, white mom, you know what I mean? Northern California, where it's all that hippie shit. We grew up listening to Steve Miller and Led Zeppelin and, Jimi Hendrix and Sly and the Family Stone, as well as, Parliament, as well as
Ohio players.
Ohio had it all. So y'all was my savior at, 15 years old, right? When y'all came out. So I guess now coming full circle, now you see it cool to be a suburban hip hop kid again. Like you don't gotta be a hard rock from the hood to have something to say. You don't gotta be a gang member or affiliated to have something to say. You can be from wherever you're from. And there was a period in the 90s where that became uncool after it kind of the native tongue thing kind of ran its course.
Yeah, true indeed.
And you guys went back underground. But do you guys now pay attention to kids that are basically doing what y'all was doing in 89, 90, 91 that are doing it now? Are you paying attention, and how do you feel about it?
I think we've always seen it.
Yeah.
Especially traveling abroad. Traveling abroad was like, the era was constant. We never really lost that moment when it was taking place from 88 to 91. That moment stayed alive in Europe, traveling to Sweden, Germany, the UK, you always saw an audience, black and white, kids getting together, kids being conscious, kids wanting to know about each other's culture, expressive. I guess they didn't have that culture, or that ghetto or urban or kind of field background to entertain that as being, this is it and this is what it's going to be. Of course, they love their Wu-Tangs because of the culture. They love their Mobb Deeps because of the culture, but they didn't live that way. So for us traveling, it never made us feel like that era was gone. Seeing it coming full circle is just having an understanding that the audiences have meshed so far that it's become the culture.
Yeah.
Going to shows now, or even let's say maybe 10 years ago, and seeing people enjoy Fabulous and being from, white or Jewish or whatever they are, or whomever they are, it was something that was happening. And now that it's just meshed so much where it's just everyday and acceptable in who we are as a hip-hop culture, it's something that we've been used to all the time, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really seem like something like, oh, now y'all up with it. Now, you respect the nerds, or you respect, intelligence or ethnicity or expressing yourself. So for us, this is something that we've always seen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what's the biggest record, or one of the biggest records off, let's say, Balloon Mind State, when you guys out there performing? Because that was that JD era when you guys really started to lock in the J Dillas and these production cats. What's the biggest record performing out there for you guys? 'Cause that's one of my favorites from y'all. I love that project.
I would say probably. Funny enough, because that album, because I Am My B was a big one on Balloon Mind State. Really, honestly, we locked in with Jay around Stakes Is High.
Right.
So with Balloon Mind State, it was a funny album because a lot of people will, to this day, whether like the person on the street or even someone like Nas who I can speak to, and they could be like, yo, it's dope how as I got older, that one album made more sense to me. Because a lot of people like around that time with Balloon Mind State, Tribe took off where they took off to.
Right.
Wu-Tang came into play. And, that Balloon Mind State was like a really calm, quiet album amongst the organized noise, what's going on. So it's dope to hear a lot of people be like, yo, now when I got older and I had kids,
I got it more.
Yeah, I get this album. Like the other ones I got immediately, but this one I get.
Stakes Is High was so amazing. It was a layup. Like it was, it was so incredible. Balloon Mind State, you had to
it was
engage
a thinker.
with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was.
When you guys were touring, what country surprised you the most? Where you hit the stage and they knew every single lyric and really knew you guys to the T.
It's just interesting when we would go to places, even like a Germany, where you would assume y'all don't even speak English, but they know every word. Yeah. Japan is definitely like that because Japan was like, they don't speak English. they know every word.
They respect culture so much. We just did Summer Jam over there. It was my first time touching down in Japan. Yeah. And so we took Fab in French and Joey Badass and who else?
And Omarion.
Omarion. And we took some other people out there. Pusha T we took. Oh, cool. And it was love. And the way they respect culture, you go to BB King's in Tokyo, just to see some jazz, the way they respect the culture. Or you go to I saw Robert Glasper play out there, right? And just watching a whole room respect culture of American music is incredible.
And they want to understand it.
Yes.
They're the ones who will be like, yo, all right, you signed it. Is there any way I can get Bob Power to sign it? They know, they read credits. My people's, Renee from Jeanne, I remember she took her pops out there and they wanted his autograph for birthing her.
Wow.
They study. It's crazy.
The only Tower Records in the world is in Japan.
Wow. That's the only one left.
The only one where you can still get CDs, DVDs, vinyl.
That's a big time.
Yeah, I can believe it.
I was in Shibuya. I'm like, wait, this is here?
Yeah,
real? Yeah, and it was busy. People still really appreciate it. They want to buy the collectibles, have these pieces of vinyl in their crib and CDs. I was like, wow.
What's classic we should run for throwback right now? Throwback De La classic. Y'all pick. Pick 2 or 3 joints right now. Wow. Anything.
I mean, I would say the Buddy remix, which has become the Buddy standard with Heartbeat. So Buddy, I would say.
Buddy's a good one.
Classic Native Tongues.
Yeah. I mean, we might as well shoot off with Me, Myself, and I. It's a
I
song
hate this. Do y'all still get on stage when you perform that and go, I hate this song, I hate this
still
song?
is.
We don't say it.
We try to respect the joint a little something. I mean,
there was a period y'all really, for real, deep down hated that shit.
Yeah, I think the hate came out of feeling like you have to perform this record.
Yeah.
And then, just being an artist, you're like, I got joints on the album that we could do. Y'all don't like this, y'all don't like, so
but
just
we
having the
want
performance.
The hits is a motherfucker.
You can't escape that. Word is wrong.
The hits is a motherfucker.
Man.
De La Soul and the Anonymous Nobody. Let's see. Independent.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, I have spent a lot of time. I do another show for Apple Music, Beats One. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we were setting up to do Beats One about a year ago on Apple, and I was obviously trying to, I need to play De La Soul. It's not on iTunes.
No, sir.
Sir.
You can't buy digitally De La Soul albums. Nope. Can you, I think I know why, but I'd love to hear from you guys why that hasn't happened yet.
It started with putting 30 samples in one song. It started from there.
Yeah.
And getting sued and contracts is crazy. I mean, it seems like, from what we were told originally, outside of occasionally certain samples were not cleared by the label. We gave them the information.
They didn't do the work. They put
certain
it out.
Things weren't cleared. Then you got also contracts that didn't have the vague language of, this relationship that Tommy Boy and De La Soul is entering with you, George Clinton, for this sample we use for, Me, Myself, and I, and using your song Knee Deep will be used on any type of musical technology. No, it said vinyl CDs.
So you'd have to go back and redo a new deal.
Include language
the language.
Yeah.
Which is, but that's one thing that we don't understand. It's as simple as amending a contract and saying, all right, make sure that digital is included.
Wow.
It shouldn't be cutting a new deal. So it's just, I don't know, it's been really strange with dealing with
streaming and the new technology.
With Warner Brothers and trying to get it done.
But it sounds like a minor egg. You can't just go back and get it done?
Well, that's what we're saying.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the money that's going to be spent to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just hiring attorneys to do it. But I think there's also a fear that something might come out of nowhere and here comes somebody who was never cleared and is going to complain about, hey, this has been out since 88.
We need money from them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't want that headache.
Which is understandable, understood.
So we may never get downloadable De La Soul albums as we sit here today. We just don't know.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I have to honestly say that that's a possibility. I mean, there are options, there are ways to do it, there's ways to go around it, but it's a lot of hard work. You can re-record the whole thing, but that's re-recording a catalog. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that costs too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
costs as well, right?
And you know, you're talking about we're not
and then,
even.
and in my mind right now, while I'm sitting here, and I know obviously a lot of the inner workings of our business, the labels don't make as much money as they used to.
Right.
So for them to put money towards doing that when you're not currently signed to anyone,
Exactly.
it's like, what's in it for
What's
us?
in it?
Why would we do this?
Exactly.
And so it would take us, the people, to talk shit enough and be angry enough
There
and
you go.
hold whoever accountable enough using our, you know, I guess our social media and technology now. Be like, yo, what the fuck, get this done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Very
mean,
true.
and, you know, if well, I don't think it's a corny thing. It's for the sake of the culture. If we care about it, you know, then let's include everything that took place in it. You know, and I think that, you know, when we sit up in front of journalists' faces and so many people who throw us these accolades, you know, you guys made this seminal album and it's like that was the most amazing thing. It changed hip hop. Then let's do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think some of those execs or those individuals who speak that are the ones who are sitting in Warner Brothers right now. And if you could say that, then let's do something about it.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, and I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago, I think the Beatles' whole catalog was unveiled and available on iTunes.
Yeah, it was available on iTunes. I don't even know if it was that long ago. To
Yeah,
be
it might have been
honest.
15, right? It might have been like 10.
But
It seems recent, and then the
Yeah.
streaming part, when these new streaming situations, that just recently came about.
Right.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think it was still a little different because I just think that they had a beef with Apple, like because
They wanted certain splits.
well that and I
was that
think
what it was?
I think originally with the gentleman who helped start Apple and him being a Beatles fan, I guess Beatles had like a label that was called like
wow.
Apple something like
Really?
that.
Was it? Something like
Yeah,
that? Oh.
and then it
Wow.
was like they was like, well, that's cool. You could make your company go Apple as long as you never do Apple Music. And then, you know, a few years of going on, he made Apple Music.
Well, just to have that availability, and I'm not saying we're the Beatles of hip hop or the Rolling Stones of hip hop, but we hear that often. People will tell us that often. So if that's the case, then let's cherish this history. Let's cherish the legacy and the music.
And the order
Make it
of it,
happen.
and the order of it was the Jungle Brothers, as far as releases. Jungle Brothers,
Yeah, they released first, I believe.
and then De La,
Yeah.
then Tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Latifah was in that order.
Latifah probably came between De La and Tribe.
De La and Tribe.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Moni around the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
around
And,
the same time.
Latifah brought in Moni. So Mason didn't make it. Mason's in.
No.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
He's also out here. He's probably in the gym, keeping his bench press high because he's one of the enforcers in the De La Soul camp.
Right.
He will slap the skin off your face
while eating a ham sandwich. Now, pardon God.
And
no
no, but I
pardon.
bring that up because earlier we talked about y'all
Yes.
being some of the earliest nerds in rap. Like y'all made it cool to be nerdy and intelligent, right? And then somewhere around 90, right in the middle of you guys' ascent, here come gangster rap heavy with the Chronic and Snoop. And I remember the moment I heard Ice Cube say dancing with those funny haircuts on Jackin' for Beats. And it felt like an onslaught for anybody with a high top fade. It was on. Like you was a cornball. And I was a cornball. I had a high top fade. I was a nerd, all
Right,
that.
right.
Backpack rapper, all of that. De La was like my savior and Tribe. But the reason I say that to y'all is because people confuse being intelligent and nerdy with being soft. And it still happens today.
Absolutely.
Drake goes through that all the time. Talk to me about that with y'all, because cats would definitely step to y'all often. And what was that like? What was the outcome?
We were on the road often. We've
Couple of
always been
smacks,
traveling,
actually.
and you go to those cities, where everybody want to test you a little something, especially De La. Here come these dudes wearing their Dayglow colors and their funny hairstyles. And,
Dashikis.
let's run on them. They taking our chicks. You know what I'm saying? That was
Well, girls
usually-
like smart guys.
Right.
They do.
That's what was
They
happening.
can take them home to meet mom.
Absolutely. So we definitely experienced that quite often. So many stories. Detroit.
Yeah. Nitro tour.
So it was
Denver.
y'all was knuckling up frequent.
Always.
Yeah. Because it
Always.
would be us.
Who was the first one to pop off?
Well, Mace,
Dave,
Mace,
don't lie. Dave, don't
Mace
lie.
and Dave.
Dave, don't lie.
Mace and Dave.
Mace
Dave.
Mace was always waiting to see how it turned out. I wasn't that patient. I wasn't.
Well, you was angry from 91 to 2001.
Absolutely.
You was mad for a long time.
Absolutely. I think that.
This is the first time I seen you smile.
Oh, word?
Like you laugh now. And it's not just because you got your teeth
I know,
fixed.
right? That's real though. I think that pressure lived a lot. I think feeling like, knowing where you come from, knowing who you came up with, and knowing what you know, like we ain't soft dudes, like but we minding our business. So why you gotta mess with us? But we understood it. So when those altercations came about, I was hot tempered. My brother was on the road with me, so knowing that I had my family on the road is like, okay, it'll get uglier that quick. And it happened a lot.
Yeah.
When we was the dudes on the tour, on the LL Cool J tour. What year was that? 89?
89.
We
us,
was the dudes that
LL,
was starting the joints. Like,
Kane,
Kane,
NWA.
people throwing stuff at Kane on stage. It was us going out there along with Kane's bodyguards. But, we didn't get it. We didn't understand, like, yo, you guys, like, you represent something.
You really
you're
can't
the
be doing
artist.
that.
You can't be doing that. So we got into a lot of fights, many fights. And we got kicked off that tour for that as well.
Wow. I didn't hear that.
So, yeah. We was always known as the dudes that to just
leave him alone.
Yeah, just leave them
MK
alone.
on it. That's
man.
what Peace Parch was on the De La Soul's Dead album.
Yeah, just leave those dudes alone. Then there was the whole thing that went down. What was that with Baby Chris? What was that MK?
MK's one.
That's how that song Peace Parch came out about the whole fighting inside the club, and I mean it's something that for us we're not gonna brag about. Talk about.
Well, I bring it up today because one of the biggest artists in hip hop is Drake.
Right.
And Drake has made his brand based on being in love and telling his story.
True. True.
And being smart.
True.
Right? That's what his brand is about.
Yeah.
He's not hard enough. He's not real enough. He gets all of these pegs. But that was also on De La Soul. They put that same image on y'all. That y'all soft and y'all square and y'all corny and all this. They did the same thing to Tribe.
True.
Right? They tried to do the same thing to Busta and them early, right? With Leaders of the New School. And they had to dust cats off too.
True.
So I wanted to bring that up because as we talk about Full Circle and Dashikis being cool and it cool to be a nerd again, I think it's...
No, it's just valid. It's important to talk about. I think a lot of people are suffering in that same way, if you want to call it suffering. Let me be me.
Right.
And that's what it was all about. Just let me be me and don't assume that because I'm not afraid of expressing myself, there's something weak about me. Yeah. And that's just it's important. Like, to me, I feel like, do I have to be as boisterous as a Tupac was to be able to be as free as he was as well? Tupac was free. You know what I'm saying? He could talk about anything, whether it's talking about his mom or talking about the streets or the hustle, what have you. But do I have to be that, that alpha male that kind of is, boisterous and lets you know not to...
Over my
you know what I'm saying?
cheese
Yeah, right. So I think that, it's all about accepting a person and appreciating the fact that they're brave enough, if you want to say their strength and their power, is being able to express themselves and not worrying about what anyone thinks. And hats off to somebody like a Drake or, hats off to somebody like a J. Cole, who talks about what's real to him and not necessarily always, having to talk about being in the gym.
Right. Or talk about just material.
Right, yeah absolutely.
It was dope, though, as well, coming up, where we could have, like, the hardest of the hard killer gang member come up to us and be like, yo, fool, like, me, myself, and I, like...
That's important to me.
That's important to me. Like, so we did see that. We caught that angle as well, like the hardest of the hard to come up and tell us, like, what you do, I love what you do, and they'll make sure that we know, like, they come from some hard times and they appreciate what we do.
Yeah, true.
So it wasn't always just like that because we did what we did. People try to call us out for being, soft or whatever. I mean, you had people testing us because we just took their girl.
Right.
Pretty much. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There was a time when I was 17, 18, I had the privilege of going to Howard homecomings early because I was working in radio early. De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest parties, Native Tongue parties, Howard University.
Whoa.
Hell yeah.
What year was this?
91.
Yeah, 91.
91, 92, I think.
Yeah.
I was 16, 17 out there living life.
Yeah.
Idolizing these dudes. Like, yo, they got it figured out. They have it so figured out. Matter of fact, you still live in D.C.
I am. I'm still in D.C. area
Never left.
now.
It's a beautiful place.
It's a nice place to live, man. I'm not mad at it at all. It's going to be home for me. Midway south, midway up top. So I'm comfortable, man.
Where are you guys at? And when we come back, I want to play this joint because I didn't expect to see De La Soul and Snoop Dogg on the same record. Talk about full circle.
Yeah.
Like that was unexpected in 91.
Yeah.
To see that today, I want to talk about that. I want to play the record, and then we'll come out and talk about that. But I also want to talk about how you guys perceive just hip-hop and rhymes today. Because the way you guys approach putting your songs together and your rhymes together was very abstract, if you will. It was very different, and it was, it wasn't like you just got De La Soul music all the time. It was a careful process that you guys had. So I want to know how you guys feel about the evolution of the MC. It's Ebro in the Morning, Throwback Thursday. De La Soul is here. This is, what is this called, Pain?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
How did this happen, man?
Snoop actually planted the seed. We bumped into Snoop at South by Southwest a couple of years back. And he pulled us to the side and was like, yo, man, let's do something. We kind of like one of the two in the industry that's been here a while and haven't collaborated. Let's do something. He wanted to call in Pharrell and sit down and just do something nice. And we was like, yeah, we up for it. Let's make it happen.
But you guys met early on in the 90s, right?
We probably met once or twice before, yeah. When we were in the studio recording, so that hadn't happened. We was in the studio recording, and a producer friend of ours who works on the album with us, he's partners on the album, Dave West, came up with this beat. We were like, yo, this feels like
West.
Yeah.
Like the
Super
Dave West?
Super Dave West,
man.
yeah.
Like, whoa!
Yeah.
Super Dave.
Yeah.
When Dave bumped that joint out, I was like, that sounds like Snoop. That sounds like something that would really be fitting and comfortable for him, really good for him. And he heard it and he was like on it instantly.
Yeah.
Came, I think probably had a verse in 2 weeks' time, maybe.
Yeah.
In the midst of his busy schedule, knocked it out, and it sounds amazing on the record, man.
Yo,
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
So tight.
So how do you guys feel about today's MC, right? You have, obviously all the upheaval around people not writing rhymes, right? Et cetera, et cetera. What does De La Soul say about that? The rappers who don't write their verses.
I mean, we obviously come from an era where that's important.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Did you ever hear of anyone doing? I mean, obviously hooks get written by a lot of people, right? There's collaborations, and somebody may turn a song and it already has a hook, but you do your verse.
Absolutely.
That's been happening forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But had you ever heard when you came up in the game or ever experienced that someone didn't write their verses?
You could hear it. It was a little taboo, but, it was a part of it as well. I mean, like you said, we were young, and we would definitely stand by like, yo, like I'm an MC, and that's why I write my verse. And then now looking back on some of the older stuff is cool when you can hear, and it made sense like in routines. Maybe Melly Mel wrote the whole routine because for him to write 4 bars and then have Mr. Ness write 4 and then, Raheem writes 4, maybe it was better for him to just write the whole thing and assign a verse in routines. And then it's cool to hear Ecstasy be like, yo, Jalil, he pretty much wrote a lot of it.
Talking about Houdini. Guys.
Yeah,
Talking about Houdini.
So I mean, like, it happened definitely, but
I don't think we ever respected the ghostwriter.
nah.
Never.
I mean, the ghostwriter, yeah, I could respect,
but
the
not the
ghostwriter,
person using
but
it.
not the writer now.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Did you guys ever write for anyone?
Each other,
Yeah.
each other, and I think that has to do with. I think that has to do with feeling strong about a song and saying this has to make the album, and I don't want you excluded. So I think that's when we've written for each other, and I think I might have been 2 occasions. that
Yeah,
we
like
wrote for
2,
each
3
other.
occasions.
But that feels good. But
Yeah.
the person who goes out and fronts like this is me, we don't respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's like using the same snare in 2 songs.
Like, don't say you're the greatest
you
MC
can't
of all
do that,
time.
you know what I'm
You
saying?
didn't write.
You guys pause for a second. Using the same snare in 2 songs. Now you just want to level deeper beyond.
That's production. Like, you know, you
And now you want to level deeper for the audience because I don't think that the common person has ever even heard that as a concept
Nah,
before.
yeah. I mean, I
Because
think
if you had the same snares on multiple songs on an entire album,
that's
somebody back in the day was going to say something like, yo,
Yeah,
my
he
man,
using
you
the
just use the
same
same drums on
Yeah,
the whole
using-
album?
yeah,
That's all you got?
That's all you got? Or yeah, that's
That was a thing, but now you just went another level. Like, because we had rules when I was learning, there was certain rules that you just was, it was more the creative rule though, right? These were for the artist and the producer. This wasn't just the general consumer, right? So I don't know, talk about that. Why? That was just a rule because you had to have enough sounds and samples, and if you didn't have no business making an album if
Yeah.
you couldn't get the production and the shit right.
that's like you playing around. You know, you're not being
She's 25, Scotty Beam. See how she looking at me like, what? I listen to albums now, and all they do is the same snap on every fucking song.
Right.
And the song will have 20 tracks on the album, and they really just used 4 sounds.
But you guys would look at it as you being lazy, pretty much.
You
Yeah.
do look at it as being lazy.
you do.
I mean, but you know, obviously the times have changed. Ears have softened. You know what I'm saying? People accept a new way. And, you know, you could play 10 songs in a row and it's the same song, which is good if it feels good. But back then, I guess, you know, because you knew that there was so many different styles, sounds, etc., artists, you would expect it to be like a producer, an individual will stop and know that, okay, I just used that snare in the last 3 songs. That's like, you know, you're being lazy. You know.
Well, in
Right,
some
right.
ways, not only are you not being as competitive as you could be because it was very competitive, but you're also in some ways disrespecting the consumer and not giving them challenging them musically
Right.
to hear more depth in your project. Right? 'Cause that
You
was a part
know,
of it.
it meant a lot more and differently back then. Nowadays, none of that means anything. You know,
I think it goes-
I don't know if it's. Excuse me. I don't know if it's about what brings a check easier or quicker, what gets the job done quicker, what's not as.
I think it varies artist to artist.
It does.
Because I don't want people to walk away from this conversation feeling like we're slandering anybody that's doing it now.
Now, right
what,
now.
Not at all.
What ended up happening with technology is the barriers to entry became less and less.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it became easier and easier
Easier
for
for everybody
everyone
to
to
do it.
participate.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, you had to have money for a studio. You had to have somebody to obviously get you into the studio to get
Yeah.
bookings. You had to prove that to the A&R.
There was
to
a
get
lot
the
more
time.
filters.
It was more
Yeah,
barriers.
Right,
true,
right.
absolutely.
So that made it more competitive also, and it also had quality control elements because of that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very true.
So on this album, speaking of production, I see the Anonymous Nobodies. Who is that?
Anonymous Nobodies is ourselves, Super Dave West, and the band that we used to record this record. What's interesting about this album is that there are maybe like 5 samples on the record, and those are like voices, James Brown voice, you know, voice here and there. But it's all live musicians. It's what we did was we went into the studio and recorded like 200 hours of a band just jamming. So they just played music, no direction, just get in there. You tap on the drum, you play the bass line. Did that for about a year and a half, and then went back to listen to all that stuff and found samples in that.
And sampled you.
And sampled ourselves.
yourselves.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's-
the Anonymous Nobody is the group. It's the band, the Rhythm Roots All Stars, Dave West, and ourselves coming together to create this music.
Yeah.
Look, man, it's always great to see you guys.
Thanks for having us, man.
August
Thanks for having us.
26th and the Anonymous Nobody.
Yes,
The
yes.
tour never stops. You
Nah,
guys
never.
still on. It was always like 4 to 6 months a year was the De La
Yeah,
Soul.
about 6 months. We're about to head out now throughout the whole winter.
We heading to Shanghai like next week.
Yeah, we just out there.
What country haven't you been to at this point?
What's the time?
I think we haven't
The time.
really ventured deeply into South America. We hit Brazil. That's about it.
Yeah.
South America would be nice, and I don't think we played Russia, right?
Yeah, we don't rush.
China, we're about to do next
Everybody,
week. Yeah.
Shanghai's
Right.
China light.
Yeah, China
Yeah.
Light.
Yeah. That real China's tough to get
Tough to
into, right?
right. Word. But China would probably be the place that we haven't ventured into.
That's dope. Yo, look, man, blessings, man. Love the work.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Keep us in tune too for the fans that want to be able, because I'd love to have a De La Soul album. I mean, I have them all, and I can put them on my phone. I have them in my computer, but to be able to just recop that again,
Right? Absolutely, man.
will.
I mean, this struggle and this fight is ongoing, and when it comes to being on the front line, we know people like yourselves are there for us as well. So when that fight takes place, we'll be calling on you guys.
No, definitely.
Today it ain't nothing but a like button and a hashtag.
Right.
We can get this thing moving.
Sure
We ain't even got to show up nowhere anymore.
Word.
You know what I mean?
Word.
Yo, give it up for De La
Thank
Soul.
you. Peace.